Hey guys, my name is Anthony Jones and you are in my garage in Athens, GA, where I'm working on my John boat to bass boat conversion that I've dubbed the Top Gun John boat. The Top Gun John boat is a highly modified, highly detailed boat. It's a 14-foot Grumman that I've been working on for almost 2 years now as a hobby. To the tail end of the build, I'm actually doing a Livewell now. It's 15 gallons and I'm stuffing it in the rear bench of this thing. I decided to document this portion of my build and put it on YouTube because when I was searching for videos as far as live wells and John boats, they were few and far between. There were a few good ones, but I decided I was going to do things a little bit differently and I was going to share my experience with you. It's going to be a two-part video series. The first video is going to feature what I've used, why I used what I used, and then a basic install of the framing and insulation. And then the second video is going to be a final install, as well as the plumbing, a few other little details, and then obviously a finished product. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope that you can take something away from it. Follow me here on YouTube, A-Dub Jones or Anthony Jones, and follow the entire build that I've documented on Instagram. It's at A-Dub Jones. Thanks and enjoy. I'm going to do a quick run through of the parts that I picked up for this project to make this happen, and then kind of give you an idea of what I paid, so if you plan on doing something like this, you kind of have an idea of what the cost is. Not only is it a lot of fabricating, but there is some cost involved. So I got this at Academy. It's an Atwood 800 gallon per hour pump. I'm going to be mounting it through my boat transom, like in this picture, with a screen on the exterior, and it's just going to pump water into the live well. So like I said, I got this at Academy. It's like 30 bucks. You get them all day online. Then I got this on Amazon. I think I paid like 32 bucks for it. This is actually a kit, and so it's pretty neat because it's coming with a 500 gallon per hour pump. It's already got your screen. It's got a sprayer. It even comes with hose, elbows, little different attachments or whatnot. Everything you would need actually. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the pump. I'm not going to use the sprayer. I'm not going to use the hose. But I'll show you what I'm going to use instead. Like I said, get these online all day, Amazon, 35 bucks. So instead of the sprayer, I saw a couple different guys use these. I'm going to try it out. It looked like it can kind of save you a headache, and it's a trick little mod. This is the sprayer I'm going to use instead of that one. This one's got a built-in, it's got two inlets, and so essentially, like, how I look at it is what it's going to do is, if you see right here, it's going to recirc, and then you could push in the head, the red part here, and then it's going to close one of these valves and open up the other one. If you leave the pump on, it's going to bilge the water out of the live well. So basically that's what this does. I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but it's like 35 bucks. I got it on eBay. They're kind of hard to find. I was surprised Amazon didn't have these. But flow right, aerator combo. If I didn't make any sense when I do the install, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Got this on Bass Pro Shops, Minuteman 3 live well timer. I've never had a boat with a live well timer. I'm sorry, with a live well. So I went with this one basically just because it has settings. That's kind of what I liked about it. 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 3 minutes off, 1 minute on, 7 minutes off, 1 minute on. And so for a tiny boat, for me to be fishing a lot of electric only reservoirs and whatnot, I kind of like that this, I could have a dialed in settings built into this that I could turn on when I'm out on the water and conserve some power with possibly that 1 minute on, 7 minutes off, or the 1 and 3. I know they make variable timers, but I like the one with the settings. So it's for me, keeping it simple. So 50 bucks. And then I got this braided hose because I saw some guys kind of recommend using the braided. I think I paid, this is 10 foot. It's like 20 bucks for this at Home Depot or Lowe's. And I'll show you the advantage of the braided from what I can tell, even on the packaging. See, this came with that clear stuff. I don't know if you see that kink, how that's kinked in there. And so the braided hose is, I don't want to say it won't kink, but it's nearly impossible to kink this stuff up. So that's kind of what it's made for. So that's kind of what I got. Next I'm gonna show you what I got that what I purchased to fabricate the live well out of, and then kind of a game plan or a plan of attack of how I want to do the install. This is a Sportsman's trunk I bought at Academy. It's like 25 bucks. It's a 68 quart, which means it'll hold 15 gallons of water. And then I'll explain this over here, but that's a Igloo Quantum. It's an 18 can cooler. So essentially what I'm going to do here, and you can see this like, man, this is dead on how it fits in this rear bench. It's a little tall. I'm gonna have to take about 1.5 inches off the height. Probably just use a cutting wheel and zip around the top, take that whole top lift off. Do the same thing with the cooler. Take it to cut it down to the specific height I need to fit it in. And then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to build a framework around it out of wood, 1x2, 2x2, whatever. Attach everything together. Of course, it'll be treated or covered in fiberglass resin, so it'll be waterproof. And then I'm going to drop it all in as one unit and mount it. But let me backtrack a second, explain what this cooler is gonna be used for. So obviously that's gonna be the Livewell. So we're gonna be pumping water in here and recirculating. I'm gonna have a sprayer up here, have water in, and a spray unit from the aeration system. Got to give credit to Michael Lopez. If you don't watching Tiny Boat Nation, he had a video where he had built a cooler into a boat, and he had installed his aerator pump in the cooler. Okay, so this will go through here, and that screen will be on the inside of here, sucking water out of the Livewell into the aeration unit. And then this pump is going to have, what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the hose running around the perimeter of the inside of this cooler, back out to the top, through my sprayer, and then back into the Livewell. So essentially what I'll be able to do is this will be dual purpose. I'll put all my drinks in here, put all my ice in here. It's not going to hold a ton. It says 18 can, but after this being going in the bottom and having the hose in here, I mean, a 12 pack's probably all I'm going to need. But so keep the drinks cold. Also, the hose will go around with the water coming out of the Livewell for recirculation. We'll go through the ice, and it'll cool the water off going back into the Livewell. Keep the temperature down is the idea. So anyhow, what I did was I measured it out. You can see how I marked everything. I went ahead and just took a hole saw and drilled out the corners. That way I could take this sawzall or recip saw with a bimetal blade, and I'm just gonna zip it down these lines and try to cut as straight as possible, and then pull this top out and try to get some of this foam out and see what I got. Got the bench cut off. You can kind of see how it came out. Came out nice, man. I did go ahead and take a tool, a handsaw, and get into that foam and get that foam broken in half. And what I'm going to try to do is wedge out one side at a time and remove it. There it is. So that's what inside the bench of an almost 30-year-old boat looks like. I got the Livewell portion, storage box, and then the cooler mocked up sitting in there. And man, honestly, I can't believe how well this actually fits. I mean, I made a lot of measurements, but it's just, everything's just going to be perfect. I was really worried about not having enough room in this bench and having to alter some stuff. It's not going to be the case. I'm just going to have to cut this down like I mentioned, cut that down, and then I'm going to figure out how to build a frame around all this stuff, connect it, and lock it in. Okay, just want to give you an idea kind of what I've got going on. As you can see, I have trimmed this. I actually used a Dremel with a cutting wheel, and I got it a little bit lower, as you can see, than the metal bench. That way what I'm going to do is, I've got this groove where that lip on that bench is. I'm going to run a 1x2 down the inside of this groove and screw it in from the outside, because my carpet bench top will cover this lip. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this box to that piece of wood, that dead wood that's running inside that hollow area. Then I'm gonna create a like a splash guard that's gonna go around the perimeter of this, so when it's full of water and I'm wide open out on the water, I'm not splashing water out. And I figure that can slide in under the metal and on top of the wood, and then I'll screw that into place. Obviously with the wood, I'm using oil-based paint, kind of like what I did back here. A lot of oil-based paint, but that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna do some foam, obviously, in the floor, and then cut foam and go around the box, the Livewell, and then the cooler. I have not cut the cooler, but you can see that's kind of where that's gonna go. And I'm gonna figure out the navigation of all the tubing and pipes and all that good stuff. One other thing I had to do, which I'll show you, is it's just in place for mock-up, but I did cut this piece of wood, and you see how I had to shim that on the edges, because if you look over here, when I cut that middle out of that bench, it just started sagging, so it was super low. So I did do that. Obviously I'm gonna pull that back out and paint it as well. But that's kind of where I'm at. So I'll link back in when we get framed and further down the road. I went ahead and hooked everything up just to verify that everything works and functions properly in this setup. Man, I'm happy. It looks good. My screen location is fine. The spray nozzle, everything's pumping fine. No pressurization collapses or anything. That's adjustable. I had to do it a kind of a certain way because when I molded all this into the rear, I was only left with one route for me to route this hose to the back for my pump that's going to pump water into the Livewell, and I've located that spray nozzle there, and then obviously the rest of my setup is over here. But I didn't want to get too far ahead of myself, because when I finalize this framing on this side, it's really, I'm not going to be able to backtrack and change some things. I mean, I can, but it'll be a massive headache. So I just want to make sure everything was good before I move forward. So I'm going to finish out the framing and then break it down. Got all the parts back out and painted. I use Rust-Oleum protective enamel. Oil base, that's the key. That's what really makes this stuff resilient to moisture and waterproofs it, because none of this wood is treated. Actually, this is just some pine, and some of it's actually cedar. It's just scrap wood I had. But so what I had done was I mocked up all my framing, and I tested the Livewell to make sure that we were good to go on that. And once the Livewell worked fine, I pulled all my framing back out, and now I'm waterproofing it, painting it. I just hit it real good with a roller and make sure I get all the ends. And you know, on certain sections like this, shims and stuff, you just got to get in there with a brush. And if I see anything like a crack there, I might fill it in with a little silicone before I stick it in the boat. But the next step is going to be to put all this stuff in permanently, and then I'm going to be able to build my screen or my splash guard around the top, and then, you know, do everything final. Quick update on the framing. I've got all the framing back in, and I'll show you what I did was I wedged it under that lip. I used a piece of wood here as a spacer, and I clamped everything in place, and I glued that piece of wood in, and then I tied my corners in together. So I've got my dead wood under this metal, tied my corners together with some L brackets, and you can kind of see that's permanently mounted in here. Now the Livewell is still removable because I'm still mocking stuff up, but this is how my splash guard's going to run. So the next step is framing this around this box. Now I still have to route my hose that's going to go out, my pump out for my Livewell. So I'm going to have to notch into this cooler and then route that hose, because all this stuff's going to lock in. All that framing is actually going to lock in once I'm fully done. So once it goes in, it's not coming back out. So I'm still mocking some things up. I just wanted to kind of update the framing package on this rig. There's this big misconception that you've got to cram the whole lumber aisle into your boat to make it structurally strong. As you can see, I've just framed this out with 1x2s, some L brackets, and some Gorilla Glue construction adhesive in the tube and caulk gun. And man, it's not about how much wood you put in, it's about how you actually do the framing process. So I'm going to show you, I'm about 190 pounds, and man, this thing is jam up jelly tight. I'm standing on this and walking around, and this is before the decking even goes on it, and there's no issues whatsoever. Working on insulation right now in the Livewell area. I'm just using Gorilla Glue heavy duty construction adhesive. Man, it's indoor, outdoor, all weather. I've used this a lot in this build. It's great stuff. It's like $8 a tube though, but it's awesome. But this is how the insulation's coming out. Got all the foam installed before I do the Livewell and the cooler. Final installation. This is a look at what the foam looks like. This is just a 1/2-inch Artec foam that you can get from Home Depot or Lowe's. They carry similar brands. It's just a closed cell foam for insulation. It's going to help keep the temperatures of the Livewell and the cooler stable, as well as give a little bit of buoyancy if it takes on water. I did leave some channels open in the bottom just in case I get an overflow in the Livewell, or perhaps a leak in a hose, or the Livewell itself. Give it a more opportunity chance to drain out the bottom, a little bit more room to drain to the back of the boat. So that's the foam. Okay guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Remember, on the next video I'm going to show you the final installation of the Livewell, some trick little details that I did and how I did them, as well as a finished product in operation. Remember, you can build anything that you set your mind to. Stay positive, stay motivated, and catch me on the next video. Thank you.